Ever get that feeling? That feeling where you just can't seem to get started on something.
Oh, yeah.
Like you've got this important task just staring you down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're diving deep into something called the Lotus Method.
Okay.
And it uses Eastern philosophy as a way to kind of like conquer procrastination.
Interesting.
And help us finally tackle those really tough tasks.
I like it.
Yeah. And the source material we're looking at is a YouTube video.
Okay.
It's called How to Force Your Brain to Do Hard Things, Lotus Method.
Okay.
And it's from the channel Statue of Wisdom.
Cool.
And I really like how they use this character in the video named Gohan to like illustrate the struggle.
Okay.
He's got the motivation, he's got the goals and everything.
Right.
But he just can't get over that initial hurdle.
We can't get started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of us listening can relate to that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there.
So the video starts off by really exploring this idea that our minds are kind of like these wild monkeys.
Okay. Interesting.
Always looking for that easy path.
Yeah.
Always resisting anything that might be even a little bit uncomfortable.
That's true.
Yeah. And I know I've definitely been guilty of that myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you how many times I've caught myself scrolling through social media when I should be working on something important.
Exactly.
So that's that resistance that we're talking about.
It.
And instead of trying to fight it, the Lotus Method suggests that maybe we should just start by becoming aware of it.
Okay. So instead of beating ourselves up for procrastinating,
Right.
it's more about just noticing when it's happening.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's a Buddhist teaching
Mm-hmm.
that says, your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts.
Wow.
Which is so powerful because it really highlights how much our own thoughts
Yeah.
can sabotage us,
Right.
especially when we're not paying attention to
Well,
them.
we're not aware.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we become our own worst enemy. And you see Gohan in the video struggling with this.
Yeah.
He's trying all these things.
He's trying to motivate himself.
Yeah, motivational videos, podcasts, all of that.
Yeah.
But the resistance is still there.
It's still lingering.
Until he kind of stumbles upon this idea of Wu Wei,
Wu Wei.
which is this Taoist principle of non-resistance.
Interesting.
And this is where it starts to get really interesting.
Okay.
Because a lot of people think that Wu Wei is just about being passive.
Right.
But it's so much more than that.
Okay.
It's really about aligning yourself with life's natural flow
Okay.
and achieving more with less effort.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried swimming against like a really strong current?
Oh, yeah.
You just exhaust yourself.
And get nowhere.
Right. You
Right.
barely make any progress.
Exactly.
And that's the same feeling that we get when we try to force our minds to do something
Right.
that they just don't want to do.
Yeah, they're resisting.
Yeah. But what if instead of fighting the current, we could learn how to like ride the waves?
Okay, I like that analogy.
So how does Gohan start to apply this Wu Wei concept?
Yeah, what does he do?
Does he just like give in to procrastination completely?
So he's not just like becoming a couch potato.
No, he doesn't. He starts to approach tasks with a sense of ease
Okay.
rather than that feeling of resistance.
Got it.
And the video emphasizes that it's not about giving into procrastination.
Right.
It's about finding a way to work with your natural energy
Oh, right.
and your natural rhythms instead of against them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it's like finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
where effort feels almost effortless,
I like it.
but it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
The video goes on to explore the power of stillness
Okay.
and this thing called Zazen,
Sezen.
which is a form of sitting meditation
Okay.
from Zen Buddhism.
Interesting.
And it plays a really big part in the Lotus Method.
Okay.
And there's this really great quote from Zen Master Dogen. And he says, if you can't find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it?
Well, it's deep.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a reminder that sometimes the answers are already within us.
Yeah.
We just need to create the space to hear them.
We need that quiet.
Right.
Yeah.
And that space comes from stillness.
I see.
So think of a lake that's being disturbed by the wind.
Okay.
The water is all murky.
Yeah, you can't see through it.
You can't see
Or
clearly through it.
Right.
But when the wind dies down,
Mm-hmm.
the lake becomes still.
And everything becomes clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Zazen helps us to create that stillness in our minds. And that allows for clarity and inner strength to emerge.
So instead of constantly battling our thoughts,
Right.
we can use stillness to see things more clearly,
Exactly.
even those tasks we've been avoiding.
Especially those tasks that we've been avoiding.
Yeah.
And the video shows Gohan starting to experience this. Through Zazen, he starts to find this focus that he didn't have before.
So the mental noise quiets down,
It does.
and he can see things in a new way.
Yeah, from a fresh perspective.
That's pretty cool.
It is. Okay, so we've got this awareness. We're finding our flow with Wu Wei, and we're tapping into this stillness through Zazen,
Right.
which is all pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
But I'm also thinking, how does this actually translate
Yeah.
into, like, getting things done?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one thing to understand these concepts,
Right.
but it's another to actually put them into action.
Exactly. And I think this is where the Lotus Method really, like, comes alive.
Okay.
And this is where I'm guessing the video brings in the Shaolin monks.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
They draw this parallel
Mm-hmm.
between the monks' discipline and their mental state.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. They really believe that there's this connection
Yeah.
between mental clarity and physical action.
It's all connected.
So meditation provides that stillness.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then the action brings the purpose.
Exactly.
And the key here is intention,
yeah.
focusing on one task at a time
Mm-hmm.
with your full attention.
Like a Shaolin monk practicing a kata.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it.
So no more multitasking.
No. Yeah.
No more getting distracted by every
Throw
notification.
the phone away.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something we could all work on, I think.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to get caught up
yeah.
in just doing
Right.
without actually being present.
Without being mindful.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some practical ways that we can kind of bring that focus
Mm-hmm.
into our lives?
Well, one thing the video talks about is this technique called time boxing.
Okay. I've heard of that.
Have you ever tried it?
I don't know if I've ever done it consistently.
It's really simple.
Okay.
You just allocate a certain amount of time
Okay.
to a specific task,
Right.
and you work on it until the timer goes off.
So it's like creating a container for your focus,
Exactly.
like a mental workout. That's a good way to put it.
And I can imagine that would be pretty effective.
It is.
Even if you just start with like short bursts.
Yeah, even 5 or 10 minutes
Okay.
can make a difference.
And what about creating a distraction-free environment?
Oh, that's huge.
Right.
Turning off notifications,
Yeah.
putting your phone on silent,
Mm-hmm.
maybe finding a quiet space to work.
Like a dedicated workspace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Signal to your brain, it's time to focus.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right.
Just clear off your desk.
Yeah.
Find a quiet corner.
Okay, so we've got our stillness.
Mm-hmm.
We're taking intentional action.
Right.
What's the last piece of the puzzle here?
Well, it's something that's often overlooked,
Okay.
especially in today's world,
Mm-hmm.
and that's patience.
Patience. Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is.
Especially when everything is so instant,
Right.
just a click away.
Everything's on demand.
Exactly.
But the video makes this point that real growth,
Yeah.
it takes time.
Yeah. And they use the lotus flower as this symbol.
I love that. Yeah.
It slowly grows through the mud before it blooms.
Before it reaches the light.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful metaphor
it is.
for our own journeys.
And it's a reminder that we don't need to force it.
You can't rush the process.
Right.
It unfolds in its own time.
So it's about trusting the process
Mm-hmm.
and not getting discouraged
Right.
if you don't see results like right away.
Exactly.
And I love how they show Gohan struggling with this too.
Yeah.
At first he's impatient,
He wants those instant results.
like we all do.
Yeah.
But then he learns to kind of embrace the slowness.
He finds peace in the journey,
Yeah, he does.
which I think is beautiful.
It is. It's
Yeah.
like shifting your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of seeing challenges as these obstacles,
Yeah.
you see them as opportunities.
Opportunities for growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about awareness and flow and stillness
Mm-hmm.
and intentional action and patience.
Right. All those key ingredients.
Right. But how does this all work
Yeah.
in the real world?
How does it actually play out?
Right, because it's one thing to understand the concept.
Yeah, you got to put it into practice.
There's another to see them in action.
Exactly.
And the video actually shares some really cool stories
Okay.
about people who have used the Lotus Method to make changes in their lives.
I like that.
Yeah. And one that really stood out to me
Okay.
was this software developer.
Mm-hmm.
He was completely stuck on this project.
Oh, yeah.
Deadlines looming,
Pressure's on.
pressure's on,
Yeah.
and he just couldn't make any headway.
Sounds familiar.
Right.
I think we've all been there.
I think we all have. And he had tried all the things,
Yeah.
drinking coffee,
Leonidas.
working late into the night,
So classic.
but the resistance was just getting worse.
It happens.
And then he found the Lotus Method,
Okay.
and he decided to give Wu Wei a try.
So instead of forcing himself to work,
Right.
he took breaks.
Yeah. He started working in these short bursts,
Okay.
taking breaks to go for walks in nature.
Interesting.
And he actually ended up getting more done
Wow.
because he was working with his energy.
Working with his natural rhythms.
Yeah. And he even started meditating in the morning,
Oh, wow.
which helped him with his clarity and focus.
So stillness was a big part of it.
Yeah, it was like hitting the reset button.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
On your brain.
clearing out the clutter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I came across another story, too,
Okay.
that I thought was really inspiring.
Tell me about it.
There was this young entrepreneur,
Okay.
and she had all these great ideas,
Mm.
but she was totally paralyzed by fear
Oh, that's tough.
and self-doubt.
Yeah.
She wanted to launch her own business,
Right.
but she just couldn't get out of her own head.
Those inner voices can be so loud.
They can be so loud.
Yeah.
But she decided to face those fears head on
Okay.
using the Lotus Method.
How did you do that?
Well, she started with awareness.
Okay.
She started journaling.
Getting those thoughts out.
Yeah, her thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
And really paying attention to those patterns of resistance.
So she was shining a light on them
She was.
instead of letting them hide in the shadows.
Instead of letting them control her.
Exactly.
And once she brought those fears into the light,
Mm-hmm.
she could start to challenge them.
Right.
And she realized that her fear
Okay.
was actually a sign
Of what?
that she was on the right path.
Interesting.
Yeah, that she was pushing herself.
He was growing.
Yeah, outside of her comfort zone.
I like that.
It's like seeing fear as a signal for growth.
Instead of an obstacle.
Yes, quite.
Yeah.
And intentional action was really important for her, too.
Okay. How so?
She started setting small, achievable goals
Right.
for herself each day.
One step at a time.
Yeah, and she would just focus on completing them.
No overwhelm.
No overwhelm.
Just steady progress.
The steady progress.
Idle.
Yeah, and eventually she had the confidence
Mm-hmm.
to launch her business.
That's awesome.
It was.
Good for her.
But the key ingredient
What was it?
was patience.
Of course.
She had to remind herself
Yeah.
that Rome wasn't built in a day,
Right.
and that true success takes time
And effort.
and effort, and she had to be okay
Yeah.
with making mistakes along the way.
It's all part of the process.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the Lotus Method.
Yeah.
It's not just about achieving your goals.
Right.
It's about cultivating this mindset
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to thrive no matter what challenges you face.
I love that.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Hmm.
what's the one thing that you hope our listeners
Yeah.
will take away from this?
I hope they feel empowered
Okay.
to try the Lotus Method themselves.
To give it a shot.
Yeah, whether they're facing a creative block
Mhm.
or struggling with procrastination
Right.
or just looking for a more mindful approach to life.
Yeah.
This method really offers a path forward.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that we all have that power within us
We do.
to tame our minds and cultivate inner peace
And achieve our goals.
and achieve our goals while embracing the journey.
Beautifully said.
So to all of you listening out there,
Yeah.
we encourage you to experiment with the Lotus Method.
Find what works for you.
Yeah.
And embark on your own journey
Of growth and self-discovery.
Exactly.
And remember, just like the lotus,
Mm-hmm.
you have the potential to blossom
Yeah.
into something truly magnificent.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.